Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to It Starts With Me Season 2. So glad to have you here with us. We have a great surprise for you. Coming back for Season 2, we have Richard Flint, the speaker extraordinaire. He's going to be here with us, and he is delivering a powerful message of how to be in the power of choice. You're going to love it. Wait until the very end. There's so much there, so many golden nuggets for everyone to pick up on. All right, so let's just talk about this for a moment. We here in the Tenacity Foundation have a few different programs going, so we want you to remember that my friend Michael Seville, the co-host of Community Beacon, has a show going on every single Monday at 9 o'clock. You can reach him. It's all about what it takes. All right, 9 o'clock, check him out. 12:30, It Starts With Me every single Wednesday. Please tune in for this new season. It is fantastic. You're going to love who we have this year. Also, every single Friday, we are back again at 6:30 for the Community Beacon. All right? Love to be able to see you or hear from you there in the DMs. All right, let's talk about our guest. Richard Flint, CSP, is chairman and CEO of Flint Incorporated, a company specializing in the training and development of individuals, companies, and associations. He has had the opportunity to address people in talks and seminars throughout the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Europe, and speaks to both corporate and private audiences. As a keynote speaker and seminar leader, he addresses more than 200,000 people each year. Richard has studied, researched, written, and spoken for 35 years in his field of expertise, human behavior and development. Through his program in business, leadership, management, customer care, sales, ethics, motivation, organization, and personal relationships, he has made appearances on over 100 radio and TV shows, as well as hosting his acclaimed podcast, Let's Talk Human Behavior. He has also written 19 books and produced more than 100 plus audio and video learning programs, including being a finalist for the top self-help book of 2005. I welcome to the show, Richard Flint. How's it going, Richard?
We're doing great. How about with you, Joel?
All is well. Yes, it's been quite some time since I've got a chance to meet up with you. I was actually looking to meet up with you a few months back to do a dinner or a lunch.
Yeah, just my schedule in January and December was just unreal. I was on the road almost 20 days in January.
Wow. Very good. Speaking engagements?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. So where have you been speaking at?
Let's see. I was in New Orleans. I was in Phoenix. I was in San Diego, Indianapolis, and a few other places.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to hear that.
You're doing good?
Yes, doing well. I didn't have as an extensive travel schedule as you did, but I was in Dallas at the beginning of the month of January, and since then I've been back here, been through a couple of places in Florida. I've been traveling around here locally. We did start our new Communicate Now program, so that's been awesome. I had a couple guest speakers out there. Alicia Curry is supposed to be out there with us next month, and we had OC Njindu, who came via Zoom all the way from Texas. And we had a few local people like Dr. Dion Roundtree and also Michael Seville that showed up as well. So it's been real good,
That's great.
With people.
That's really great. I'm proud of you and for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I definitely do. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about what you have going on, what the new year is bringing in, what people have in store by, hearing your message this year.
Well, we're continuing with our small group retreats. Um, our next one is in April, which is going to be in Newport News, Virginia, and our theme is learning to live from the inside out. And then we're going to do one in July in Palm Beach Gardens, and that one's going to be learning to pace your pace.
All right.
We've opened up our business success house mindset group, which has been going good, which is an 8-week intensive course on how to structure your business to grow in any market.
Mm,
Yeah, and the people we've had go through it have just seen amazing results from it.
that sounds really good. I think that that's very important, especially in the business industry right now, online coaching and whatnot, where it's so heavily saturated with coaches and people don't really know how to brand themselves or to get in front of people, or even more importantly, I think to get paid for the services that they render. I think it's a very difficult season for those that desire to be coaches.
Well, one of my concerns about a lot of the people who are calling themselves coaches is that they don't have the background and the expertise uh,
Mm,
and the level of success they need to be able to take people through some of the things they're facing right now. I mean, the biggest word out there right now that I'm seeing and feeling, and people are talking to me about, is uncertainty, and
mm.
just what uncertainty is doing to everybody. I mean, Joel, it's just an interesting place that we don't know who to believe, what to listen to, what not to listen to. Um, and uncertainty is just paralyzing people today.
That's interesting that you say that. I was actually dealing with someone a little earlier today who was in the middle of some uncertainty for an investment that he was looking to make. And this is a reoccurring theme I've found as well. What would you say are some of the best methods that you utilize or teach to help people to weigh out their uncertainty versus certainty and make a decision in either direction?
Well, Joel, the first thing they got to do is they got to slow down.
Mhm.
So many times when we get caught up in uncertainty, our pace speeds up. And when our pace speeds up, we find ourselves not paying attention to, with our peripheral vision, to what's going on around us. And the faster we move, the more we miss. I have a gentleman, in fact, I just got off the phone with him before I came on with you, who's gotten tangled up in an investment that's going to end up costing him probably about $1 million because he didn't pay attention. He just got really excited and jumped in. And then all of a sudden, things started happening. And he told me, he said, I should have slowed down. I should have done more research, but it just sounded too good to be true. And we all know what happens when something sounds too good to be true. It's too good to be true. So now he is just paralyzed with uncertainty as to what to do. So first thing people have got to do is they got to slow down. And the second thing they got to do is they got to do their research. You got to gather all the information that you need before you make that decision to jump in. And then third thing, you got to understand, what is it that you're wanting to achieve from this? What's the purpose of it? I mean, is it just something that you're curious about, so you're willing to jump into it? Or is it something that you have researched, you've studied, you're dealing with it from your mind down, not your emotions up, and you're ready to make a decision based on the facts, not on your feelings? Because so many times the messes we create in our life are there because we come at it with our feelings and not our mind. And that mindset is so important, because how many times have our feelings gotten us in trouble? I mean, we try to feel our way through, And all of a sudden we realize there's a big part of this missing, and that's the mindset. One of the things we're doing right now, Joel, is that I'm doing my once a month virtual seminars, and they're one Saturday a month for 90 minutes. And I put together a series entitled The Power to Be. And what I'm doing with that, Joel, is I'm taking 12 of the most common struggles that people have that cause them to speed up, that cause them to not be prepared. And we're walking through each one of those and helping people to understand, why do we get into this trap? When we get into this trap, how do we face the fact we've done it? And then how do we reverse what we've done? Like we've done 2 so far, because we started in January. The first one was on the power to be you. Because, most people are not themselves. They're a creation of everything that's going on around them, and they're not their self. And then the one we've done this month was on the power to get back up. How do you get back up when life pulls the rug out from under you? And this is so important right now, because for the last couple of years, the rug has been pulled out of so many people, and they're down. They don't know how to get back up. They're uncertain if they want to get back up. They don't know if they trust themselves enough. And then the one that's coming up in March, we're actually going to start through the topics. And the one in March is going to be on the power to be disciplined. This is so powerful, because discipline in the human life is a term of glue. It's behavior that holds everything together. I mean, I can have the desire, I can have the determination, I can tell myself I want this. But then if I don't have the discipline, what happens? I keep sabotaging. Had another call earlier today from a young man who has a dream he wants, and he can do it, but he lacks the confidence within himself. So every time he gets nervous, he brings behaviors in that sabotage it. And one of those lacks in the human life that keep people knocking themselves down is the lack of discipline. And then we're going to talk about things like the lack of organization, the lack of priorities, the lack of patience, the power to control your fear, the power to make change your friend. And every month is a different topic. That what we do is we take people down through it. And if people would like to see a list of them, they're on the website, richardflint.com /PTB, power to be, PTB. And the whole list of everything is there. I'm just really excited, Joel, about everything that I'm seeing right now, because this whole year for me, and this is going to be the foundation for me going forward, is I believe there are only 2 foundations you can stand on in life. One foundation is the belief, the trust, and the faith that you have in yourself. And the other is the doubt, the worry, and the uncertainty that you bring to your life. And I don't know if you see this the way I see it, but the majority of people today are living in doubt, worry, and uncertainty. And that's outside in, because when you have belief, trust, and faith, you live from the inside out, because belief is inward, trust is inward, faith is inward. And when you have those as your inner foundation, as the terrain shifts, you can manage it. But if I'm living in a world where I doubt myself, I doubt what is, and the result of that is I worry about everything I want to do and every decision I make, and then I'm uncertain. So what do? I postpone, I procrastinate, I find an excuse, I find a reason. So much of what I'm doing this year is based on how do you strengthen that foundation of belief, trust, and faith in yourself. And to me, this is critical, because you are going to stand on one of those 2 foundations. And the interesting thing about this, Joel, is I can have belief, trust, and faith in myself in one part of my life, and in another part of my life, I can be ruled by doubt, worry, and uncertainty. It's finding the consistency of your foundation, that consistency of believing in yourself. Most people believe in their self based upon situations. It's
Hmm.
not consistent. Most people trust their self as long as they're certain, and then their faith comes and goes, and they wonder why their life is like a roller coaster. Uh, but this
Yeah,
is
very good.
the times that we're living in right now. If you really want to grow,
Very good. My belief, my the strength of my belief actually started probably over 2 decades ago. Well, not even probably over 2 decades ago. And that was when I came to the realization for me that I wasn't able to fix my life the way that I was. And I remember this vividly, saying to myself, you know, I need something. And for me, it was like, I need Jesus. That's what it was for me. And I remember calling my mother up and telling her, that's what I need. Like, I need Jesus. And she was like, well, I just met a pastor the other day, and I happened to tell him about you. I don't know why I got on that conversation, but he said he could help you. Um, you want to go out there? And I did. And it was about a year later that my life just turned around 100%. And I've been on that trajectory of learning and growing. So that's where my foundation began. And that's when I learned who I am. And over those years, I began to understand how much trust, belief, and faith I could have in myself. But I mentioned that just to say this, Richard, in the middle of our conversation, as I was thinking about that, a lot of those things I started to think about, how does that relate to me? And it was within a few years ago that I had decided that I no longer want to be multiple people. And I believe that that has somewhat to deal with some type of fear, or not some type, but definite fear of being accepted in communities and around individuals, as well as uncertainty, not really knowing who I am, partially because of fear. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to be one guy. That's it. I'm not going to be Elder Simmons here and Lieutenant Simmons here and husband here and father here and friend over there and different type of friend over here. I'm gonna be one man, and that is all I'm going to be, and I'll be that to my best ability. And whomever still loves me afterwards, well, that's who I should be around. And so I did all that I could to amalgamate all of these entities into one. And I found that I was somebody totally different than what I even had understood, because so many times I'd walk in a room and I would join myself to the community as one of those individuals. And then I would join myself to another community and change my language and the way I walk, everything. And so by becoming that one individual, I was able to alienate my fears and my uncertainty, and I was able to start really building from there. And I'm just curious as to, what you would think or say to something like that, or even does that align with some of what you teach?
well, first thing you said earlier, and it's a word I hear a lot. Um, that I think you said it was your mother that pointed you toward this pastor, uh, that you needed to fix your life. And
No, not exactly that. I went to my mother seeking help, and she said, I just happened to speak with someone who said he could help you. That, I don't know if that's the way you were heading with that, then yes.
yeah, but the word, because I get this all the time, uh, Richard, can you help me fix this in my life? And I tell people, no, no, because from the psychological viewpoint, when you fix something, all you're looking to do is get through this moment in your life. And that's why so many times people, they come, they spend a moment there, they feel good, and then they slip right back. It's because you can't fix anything in your life, because fix is a reaction to what is. What you have to learn to do is recognize and control what it is that you're dealing with in your life. And then, talking about fear. Fear is healthy until it becomes fright. I mean, fear is an emotion we all deal with. And if we look at fear as a learning experience, then what fear does is it slows us down. And it helps us to look at what we're dealing with and understand the emotions that we're feeling through this situation. But if fear becomes fright, then what it does is it speeds us up. It takes away our rational thinking. It causes us to react to what is. And when a person reaches the level of being afraid or being frightened, that's when they doubt. And doubt is when I question things from a negative viewpoint. It's where the what if game starts. And then once I start doubting, it's just a natural progression. Now I'm going to worry. And when I start worrying, any decision that is in front of me, I'm going to expand that what if game. And I'm going to make that a bigger part of this. Because if you look at people who worry, they worry about perception. They worry about perceived. And so what do? They look at it from a filing cabinet of yesterday that's filled with disappointments. Joel, all of us live with a set of filing cabinets in our life, and we generally have two rows. One row of filing cabinets in yesterday is all about our struggles, our disappointments, our sense of failure, our fears, our doubts. And when I go to that file cabinet to try to get understanding, all I do is reinforce being afraid. All I do is strengthen my doubt. I increase my worry, and my uncertainty just grows. But if I can go to that other filing cabinet and understand that in yesterday, there's always successes. Anything that allows you to put your foot in front of your foot and just take a step forward is a success. And that's my definition of success. It's every day putting one foot in front of the other, moving forward with a purpose, with a direction, and with a commitment. And if I go to that set of filing cabinets, and what I'm looking for is, I've been here before and I've handled this. How did I handle it? And then that gives me a pathway forward. A lot of people disagree with me, but I think life is a series of repeats. We either repeat our frustrations or we repeat our successes. And the challenge there is, what am I looking at? Am I looking at my life through the rearview mirror, where I'm seeing everything that went wrong? I mean, when I was talking to this young man earlier, that's in the situation where he's sabotaging his life, everything today we were talking about, everything about your life is to prove that you're no better than you were. And you doubt yourself, and you worry about everything, and you're uncertain. So anything you face in your life, you're facing it through the negative lenses of yesterday and not the positive experiences of the pictures that make you feel better about yourself. And life is really simple. It just depends on the foundation that you stand on. Now, will our beliefs get challenged? Absolutely. Will our trust be challenged? Yep. Will our faith be tested? Yep. But it's, where does that come from? And I hope I'm not going in a dangerous direction here. But I think that my belief, my trust in my faith is grounded in my relationship with God, and that as I believe that He has my life in His hands, and that He has a purpose for my life, and every day I'm going to seek that purpose because I believe that every day of my life somebody's going to need me. And if I don't have that belief, that trust, and my faith in myself, I won't be of value to them. And that's living from the inside out. But there's also a part of our world that pulls us out. I mean, I think that society today and the people in control of our society today are here to steal our hope, weaken our spirit, and take us outside, because every time we look at the evils of life, it steals belief, trust, and faith from us. And we start doubting, we start worrying, we get uncertain about everything. And this is why you got to narrow your focus. Growth today means letting go of the outside, letting go of those influencers, those things that impact you in a negative way, that cause you to look through negative lenses at life. I can't change the world, but I can affect the world that I am through the quality of my presence.
I love that. And you're definitely not on dangerous grounds with me and with the audience that we attract, because I'm definitely a believer. And I think that um, maybe I've made that clear, maybe not. But, there's a scripture that says, greater is he that's in you or within you than he that's within the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I look at my foundational stance, that's what happened to me 20 years ago, as I learned how I might be. And I was very grateful of it. I was very grateful that I didn't have to be held accountable for all of my past actions, and that I could live forward thinking. And I tell you, a couple of years back when I was going through this transformation, for me, it came to me, it was an epiphany. And I don't know if I shared this with you. I think maybe I did when we sat down and had dinner. But it was something as simple as coming out of a situation and looking backwards and saying, over the last 2 decades, everything that I've been through, no matter how great or how depressing it was, I felt as if God was there by my side and he continued to help me. Now, when I did great, I did great. And then when I did not do great and I fell flat on my face, I felt like when nobody else could help me, he gave me solace and comfort. And I was able to get myself up, wipe myself off, and move forward with a household of people. So failure as a father, in the eyesight of a father and as a husband, it hurts because you have baggage, you have children, you have your wife, you have these different concerns that are wearing down on you. And for me, that was an impactful moment, because I thought there were so many opportunities that I had that I did not take. And so I made an agreement with my wife. I said to her, I said, baby, the man that you knew before is no longer. I've become somebody totally different. And I had gone through this great realization, Richard. I mean, great realization. I had been to the valley's bottom and I had come back up. I had survived. I had survived the shadow of darkness, and I was still alive. And I told her, I said, I'm not going to ever be that individual again. And we have to understand that. I want you to understand that, being as plain as I can possibly be. And she watched me for a while, and she noticed there was a great deal of a change in me. And I said, this is the one thing that I want you to understand. This is what I like to do. I want to move forward with nothing but faith from this day forward. I mean, just no matter what, if it comes to my heart, I want to go out and I want to do it. And I cannot guarantee that it will all work out, but I'll guarantee this. that as I look back over the last 2 decades, there was nothing. I mean, we faced homelessness, we faced being poverty, we faced not having food. We faced the opportunity of joy being ripped from our family and us separating. We face all these things together, and that is only a small part. And we were overcomers. And I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to live from this day forward. And this is your choice to live with me like this, because it's the man that I am. And you got to accept it, or we have to figure something out. And we're going to go forward. And we're not going to go forward with fear, but we're going to go forward believing that if he did it for us over the last 2 decades, he'll do it for us over the next 2 decades. And that's the reason why we're here right now, Richard, is because I'm operating off of that faith, and I'm believing more in the ability to do than the ability to not be able to do.
Well, and this is what that foundation of belief, trust, and faith is all about. I mean, when I go back and look at the life of Christ, and when he walked among the people, he didn't try to convince people. He didn't try to fix things. What he did is he offered them a pathway. And people have a path that they're going to walk. And that, for me, in my working with human behavior, that path is either going to be about living in a world where I believe, I trust, and I have faith that there is a purpose for my life, and I'm going to live that purpose. I'm going to let God direct my life, and doesn't always mean that my life is going to be perfect. I mean, every now and then I just go back and sit down and read the book of Job, and and what Job went through, but his belief wasn't shaken, and he didn't doubt God. He trusted in God, and his faith took him through. I go back and I read about Moses and him leading the children of Israel and how rebellious they were. But his belief in the fact that God was in control and his trust in God and his faith kept him moving the children of Israel forward. And I look at the life of Christ, and the number of times that people didn't like him, and they wanted to hurt him, and they finally did. They finally killed him. But his belief wasn't shaken, and his trust in his Father wasn't shaken. And the faith that he had continued to allow him to live forward. And this is what's missing today, Joe, is that outside society is attacking belief. It's attacking God. It's attacking the trust. It's attacking anything and everything that gives us a solid foundation. And they do that. And it's a it's a thought process. It's a mindset that they're using against us. And we just have to be strong enough to say, God, I know you have a purpose for my life, and I want to live that purpose. And to do that, I got to narrow my world. I got to narrow my circle of influence. And I got to be willing to have fewer people in my life. I want the 2% in my life. It's not that I don't love and care about the rest of the people, but I want to invest myself in the people who I don't have to convince because they desire it. I don't have to push because they're determined. And I don't have to, go out there and force them to do it because they have the discipline to do it. And, that brings me so much joy to watch people succeed, first of all, at being their self. And when you succeed at being yourself, then you add that level of strength to your life. But and every day I do want for people. I want to offer people the opportunities for being better. And that's everything we're doing right now. the small group retreats, the Success House mindset. And every Friday, Joel, we do an open mic. We're at 10 o'clock where we have a question out there, and people, they come on and I do a little monologue, and then people come on and they talk about it. And like, for instance, our month of February here is all about love. And our question for tomorrow is the question, who in your life taught you the most about love? Who has done that for you? And I'd invite anybody to join us on a Friday. It's just richardflint.com/discussion. And, it's a fun time because it has become, we call it our Friday gathering. And it's like a family. It has become like a family. And we're getting new members to the family every week. And then everything that I want for people right now is just helping them to be better today than they were yesterday, to become smarter. And smarter doesn't mean I know more than you do. Smarter means I know how to use the lessons life is giving me.
Very good.
And then I want people to be stronger. I want people to understand how to live from the inside out.
Very good. Very good. Many of our listeners, maybe they may not recall that you had been on this show in the last season. And, just for a brief moment, I just want to remind everyone, go back and look at the first interview. Richard has been through so many great trials and tribulations and troubles in his life, and he's overcome, and so when you hear Richard, just know that it comes from a wealth of desire to help others genuinely. He does this from his heart, from the time he was left on the side of the road to fend for himself at a very young age. He has been persevering, and he's always chosen to persevere. And I think, Richard, if anything, I think that is one of the greatest lessons that you leave with us and that you lead in everything that you do. Because one thing that I've learned is that when you decide, to be yourself and to be the very best version of yourself, the funny thing happens is that you actually have more control over your environment than you ever had before. And it's funny because so many people are walking around attempting to control other people in other circumstances, and they don't control themselves. There's an old saying, sweep around your own front patio before you sweep around mine. Well, I've found that to be true. The more I focus inward on me to develop me, the funny thing about that is that me being developed causes, if you will, like waves, vibrations to come out of me. And people then have to adjust themselves to me, or they'll either come close, very close, or they'll go very far away. And my life will begin to change just by that self development, that foundational work, that groundwork that is all in supporting me first. What would you say to that?
I learned a long time ago, Joel, I don't have to prove myself to anybody.
Beautiful.
Because if I feel the need to prove myself, I'm giving my life to that person to control.
Beautiful.
The only person I have to be true to and consistent with to start is with me.
Yes.
And the stronger I am internally, the more value I bring to the people.
Yes.
Because it's one of my laws of life. You can't lead another person past the point where you are.
That's it. That's
And
good.
if I don't believe in me, then I have to lean on someone else to define what it is to believe in me. And then I've given up my life. I mean, my ultimate foundation of thought is, why spend my energy being a carbon copy when I'm the original?
I love it.
Yeah, God created me to be unique. He created me with a purpose. He gave me talents. He has provided a path for me. But to walk that path, I have to be strong in my belief, my trust, and my faith, and to understand God will provide.
That's good. Just how did you get to that mindset? For the sake of all those that are listening, what was it that you went through in order to get that mindset?
Well, you alluded to part of it when, because I grew up in New Orleans and I was adopted when I was 2 months old. I was adopted into a home where my mother never wanted me there. My dad wanted a son, three sisters. None of us were brothers and sisters. And my mother never liked me. I mean, I was a threat to her and her relationship with my adopted dad. And she used to tell me every day, Richard, you'll never amount to anything in life. You're the stupidest kid I've ever met, and I don't want you in my house. And as a child, I mean, if that's what you're hearing, what does it do to you? It just
Mm.
rips you apart inside, and you don't believe in yourself because must be something wrong with you. And when I was 16, I was handed a suitcase one night and told that my mother had decided I could no longer live in her house. And from the age of 16, uh, I've been on my own. When I was a sophomore in college, I made the decision that I had to confront my mom and dad because I do believe anything you don't confront, you validate. And this is one of the challenges with a lot of people. They have issues in their life they need to address, but they never address them. And because they don't address them, they take them as truth when they're not. And I remember I drove to my mom and dad's house, which was 62 miles from my dormitory room. And, my dad let me in the house. And when my mother saw me, she picked up her purse, took out her car keys, went out the back door, got in her car, and drove off. And I never saw her again. But that was my day of freedom, Joe, because I realized that no matter what I did, I would never prove myself to her. And in trying to prove myself to her, I gave her control of my life. And that's when I started to awaken to the fact this is my life. God gave me this life. And I'm going to learn to believe in myself. And I'm going to learn to trust in whom I am. And I'm going to have the faith that there's more to my life and that there's things that I am here to achieve. And that drives me. It drives me every day that I do want to be better. I do want to be smarter. I do want to be stronger. I want to create a positive presence that has a presence when I'm not present. And if people could just take that thought and let that be the foundation of one of the foundational bricks of their life, is that I want to have that positive presence. That when I look in the mirror, I can not say I like me. I can look in that mirror and I can tell myself, I love me. And with that, I mean that. I love me. And that builds my inner strength, my confidence, my self respect, my self confidence, my self reliance. And it is so very, very, very important that I have that. And so every day I work on my belief, my trust, and my faith in me. Because you're right. When I was 16, I could have rolled over into the bushes, laid there and sucked on my thumb, and for the rest of my life blamed what happened in my life for what I was. But I chose there's more to my life than that. And I wasn't going to let my mother have control of my life and define who I was. And so that's been my driving force is that I believe that I have a purpose. I trust I can live that purpose, and I have the faith that I can make a difference in people's lives.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so grateful that you shared that again. Richard, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. You are you're one of the people that I just enjoy speaking with because your genuineness and your authenticity just comes direct, very direct and very powerful. And there's a lot of confidence inside of you. And I'm grateful that you share these things again. The power to be. and also the power of choice, and what those things will do for people inside their lives. I believe that's the message for today. And I think it's a very good message. And I think that people should reach out to you, that they should go online, go to richardflint.com, and should see exactly what you have going on and get involved and join you on your Friday nights and on your monthly programs so that they can gain some of these things. I definitely believe in what you're doing, and I believe in your character. I got that opportunity to sit down with you and to have a burger, which I do want to take you out and offer you a burger, so to speak, as well. But there was no change when I met you. There was no change. You were very inquisitive. If anything, I think that there was a lot more questions coming in my direction on that day than there was in your direction. But I definitely appreciate you as a person, as a friend, and as a mentor. Is there anything that you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Yeah, please go check out my website, richardflint.com, and look at some of the very unique things we're doing. Because if you are serious about wanting to have the life that you were put on this earth to have, and stop living in the circle of sameness where every day your behavior, because, ask anybody who knows me around the world and ask them, what do you remember about this guy? They're going to tell you three words: behavior never lies. You can tell me anything you want to tell me, but the truth of your life is in your behavior. And I ask people all the time, are you being honest with yourself? Have you created this fake world where you talk about, but your behavior makes it impossible? And everything I'm about is about helping you to find the you that you can really be. Become a part of some of the things we're doing. Our Friday morning 10 o'clock discussions. Look at our virtual seminars that we're doing. And just look at how we are bringing insights and information and processes to people to improve their life. And, if you have questions that I raise within you and, you want to talk about it, send me an email, richard@richardflint.com. It's FLINT, richard@richardflint.com. I'll respond to your email. No one reads my emails but me. And any response you get will be a response from me, not from anyone on my staff. Because I would like to be able to partner with you to help you walk through the life you have in order to find the life that you were put here on this earth to live. And I'd love to partner with you and walk beside you. I'm not going to fix your life, but I'll help you find the directions where you can discover what it is you need to do.
Awesome. Well, everybody, that was Richard Flint. He is an absolutely amazing individual. Obviously, you can tell by his tenor that he is extremely strong, not in just his belief, but his actions do speak to what he says. He does live the same way, or it's apparent to me that he appears to live the same way that he speaks. And I'm very grateful for that. He is a very genuine man, a very honest man. And I believe that he helps many people constantly. And I'm very grateful that we had an opportunity to have him back out here on It Starts With Me. 3 things that he mentioned with us on this day was take time to slow down, do your research, and decide, what do you really want in life? Wherever you are, as much as it starts with you, remember it starts with me. Peace.